I'm adding a few photos to this video which prove, and I'm not bullshitting, that I served in 3 different units. The Royal Army Medical Corps, the 2nd Battalion the Parachute Regiment, and the SAS Regiment. So you'll see photos at the end with myself and the cap badges responding to them units. I joined the army to get away from a dysfunctional family, to say the least. My father was a bit of a bully. I couldn't get on with him. I tried to kill him with a bread knife one day when he was hitting my mother, and I realized I had to leave home. So the army was a good way out of getting out of that family. I could have went to work anywhere in the northeast. At the time we had shipbuilding, iron and steel, and the coal industry. The class system was obvious then. I mean, see, when you left school, you could go into any of these industries. And as an apprentice, on your first day, at many institutes, you had to go through what they call an institutionalized class system initiation test. In a lot of instances, apprentices were stripped naked, covered in oil and paint, in front of female staff from the white-collar workers. Management were looking on. Nobody tried to stop it. This was the unions putting you in your place. The unions were part of the problem creating the class system. They didn't prevent this ill treatment of apprentices. Apprentices were meant to be kept in their place. And very cruel in the initiation days of being an apprentice. I mean, say in Wallsend there was one case where the apprentice had a high pressure hose stuck up his bum, and they put the pressure on and they actually killed him. That is how severe it got in the initiation tests. So anyway, I joined the army, and I didn't have a problem in the army, except you did have a bit of bullying. But my name was Nigel, coming from Wallsend. I don't know, many people know the name Billy Connolly, the Glaswegian comedian. Billy Connolly wrote a song called Tyrone, and it was about a boy in Glasgow, Gorbals, and his mother came out of the flat, and on the stairway she shouted, "Tyrone!" But she had her hair in curlers, and she had a hairnet on and a scarf. She had her stockings rolled down to her ankles, and her legs had fireside tartan. So this little boy had been given a posh name called Tyrone. My mother did the same to me. Nigel in the northeast is not a good idea. From the day I went to school, I fought for my existence. So fighting, I did a lot of fighting in my youth. Just over the name. What's in a name? Parents should wise up and not give their children a terrible name, because children inflict a lot of misery on children with a disability or a terrible name. So fighting, I was used to. When I was 11, I got sent away to a boarding school. The police said to my parents, either you send them away or we send them away. So that shows how much fighting I did. I had a boy try to stab me one day in the post office, local post office. My mother had sent me down to get some groceries, and the guy says, young lad says, "What's your name? Is it Nigel Mumford?" I says, "No, I never admit to my name." And he took out a knife. "Yes, it is." And he tried to stab me. So I dived into the shop, through all the old age pensioners, over the counter, back out of the shop, and ran home, and told my mother that or they didn't have the groceries that you wanted. But an hour later, the police with the sirens came to my door and informed my parents that someone tried to kill me in the shop. So I got sent away to boarding school in Cheshire. I learned in this life, you either be a bully or get bullied, and you have to be strong. I mean, a bully is a coward. Normally, they need a gang backing them up, and this is the thing with gangs. They feel really big time in a gang, but one-on-one you can fight them and normally beat them. But this is gang mentality throughout the ages. It's like a pack of dogs. They run round and they'll attack you and snap at you from behind. But you turn around and face them and they'll normally back off. So I had a lot of experience fighting as a youth. And as I had this problem with my family, I joined the army. And I had a family life in the army. Not something I didn't have at home. So I enjoyed the army and I made it my career. Well, I wanted to be a successful soldier. So this is how I ended up in 3 different units trying to improve myself in the British Army. I didn't join to kill people. I joined as a medic. So I served with 23 Parachute Field Ambulance with 2 para. My first day was a really incredible day. I'll explain. I was celebrating my move from 23 PFA to 2 para down in the Naffy Club in Aldershot. So I'm drinking and dancing, and I had this girl who was a RAC, Women's Royal Army Corps. I mean, she wasn't that good looking, but when you've got like 4,000 or 5,000 soldiers stationed in one town, the girls are few and far between. So I'm dancing with this girl, and this lad comes over and he throws a pint of beer on her. And I says to him, I don't mind you throwing the beer on her, but you've splashed me, pal. And the next minute, the glass is coming towards my face. So I ducked and it went over my head. And I started fighting the guy, getting the punches in, had him on the ground. We hit a table, big long table, which it must have had 100 glasses on that table. They all went on the floor, smash. So everybody was watching this fight. Then out the corner of my eye, I saw about 15, 20 guys running at us. So they all started to dive, and as they dived, I rolled out of it. And I stood up and looked down, and there's these 20 guys all going like this, punching away. And I thought, time to make a move out of the Navy Club. So I went back to barracks. Next morning, 7 o'clock, I was on parade with 2 para. I was late on parade, so I marched up to the sergeant major, and I says, Corporal Mumford, reporting for duty, sir. So he says, fall in at the end of the battalion. So I had to march past all the battalion. And I heard somebody say, that's the bastard from last night. I thought, fucking hell. Look at these guys, all glaring at me. So I marched to the end of the line, and we were told we were going to Northern Ireland and to prepare all our kit for a move to a bad situation in Northern Ireland. At the end of the parade, a woman walked past everybody, and she was the gangbang in the barracks, and she had a club foot, and she walked past shouting, "Who the fuck's got my bloody shoe?" And all the lads started laughing a bit, and the colonel's saying, "Sergeant Major, who's that woman?" The Sergeant Major didn't have a clue about this gangbang, but that's another story. But when the Sergeant Major said fall out, everybody turned to the right, marched 3 paces and fell out. And this group of lads came towards me. I was a bit nervous at I think, oh, I'm in for another fight here. And they all come and shook my hand. I was amazed. I said, "Well, sorry about last night. The lad that you hit, who had two black eyes, he was first to apologise and shake my hand. He says it was his stag night. So, and the rest shook my hands, and I was now in two para. And a good set of lads. You could have a laugh every day with two para. Really comical, but very professional battalion of paratroopers. Second to none. So I'll now leave this story about two para and go back to a little story when I joined the army. I met the Queen Mother, and this was when I was a medic, and I had to give a speech to the Queen Mother. And before the speech, there was a general called General Niven, RAMC, came around and listened to my speech that I had to give to the Queen Mother. So after the speech, he sent a Scotsman officer to teach me English before I met the Queen, to try and get rid of my Geordie accent. And he says, I'm really embarrassed. I've got a Scottish accent and I'm proud of being Scottish. And I'm sure you're proud of being a Geordie. I says, yeah, I am. And I'm not going to lose my Geordie accent. I've still got it. You're born in the Northeast and you get a Geordie accent, and that's it. Like somebody born in Scotland. So I met the Queen Mother, and the first thing I said to her, I says, I hope you can understand my Geordie accent. And General Niven was giving daggers at me for saying this. She says, oh, I love the Northeast, and I love launching ships on the River Tyne. It's been a highlight of my career. So I had a quick chat with the Queen Mother and finished my speech, and she went away. But this was the class system in the British Army. General Niven was the brother of the actor David Niven. Spoke perfect English without an accent. And the class system was there from day one when I joined the army. And later on, I learned how the class system actually kills British soldiers. So my next video, I'll talk about this.